Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your day. Um, I'm sure a lot of you saw my videos from earlier, my traffic videos, and how my wipers are not working. Um, and, I drove today to yoga in the morning, and the class at first was listed that it was in the studio in Lynn, and that's what I had in my calendar on my phone. And then, when I got there, I saw that the studio was closed. And, I looked at my phone for the notification, and it turned out the class was in Malden. And at that time, it was like 8:50, and the class was going to start at 9. So I canceled the class. I mean, I'm not going to go to Malden no matter what, but, at 8:50, I can't do too much anyways, right? And I canceled. And, when I got home, I wrote that email that I posted on Facebook to the yoga studio, because this is not the first time something like this has happened. This has happened several times. And the most recent time was a couple of weeks ago. And I posted that video where yoga class was canceled. I got to Lynn, and, the class, I waited. I think the class was supposed to be at 6, and like by 6:10, like the instructor wasn't there. Not only was the instructor not there, the yoga studio was closed. And that's when I reached out to the yoga studio, and that's when they told me that, the instructor got the dates mixed up. So, this has been like a reoccurring issue with the yoga studio. That's why I sent them that email and was like, I don't want to get a no-show fee or a, late fee. Last time the class was canceled, and this time the class was listed that it was in Lynn, and it ended up actually being in Malden. I do enjoy doing yoga at that studio. But I don't enjoy classes, being canceled last minute or things being listed incorrectly. That's just not fair to me. And I certainly should not have to pay, a fee for a class that was not listed correctly, or a class that was canceled at the last minute where I had to, drive. And it ended up being a wasted drive. And today was another wasted drive. And, what made today more frustrating was that the weather was terrible today in the morning. It was raining pretty heavily. And my wipers have not been working. And that was tough. I had to try to be as careful as I could be on the road, especially, being on Route 1 and stuff. I could maybe crack the window a little bit, turn on the heat or turn on the AC to have some visibility of the road. But it wasn't easy, because it was hard to see. And, these wipers have been, they haven't been working for a while. And I was saying this in one of my videos. Now, one video of mine got muted on TikTok, but it's not muted on Instagram as of right now, And what I was saying in that video was, when I was street homeless, my wipers did not work in my own vehicle. And not only did my wipers not work, since that truck hit me, my side mirror was taken off completely. The side mirror on the passenger side. And when I was street homeless, like, it was raining like every day. So I had my car, the wipers didn't work and the side mirror didn't work. And I had to fight first with Plymouth Rock, and then after I fought with Plymouth Rock to see if they would fix my car, and the appraiser from Plymouth Rock came out, then they said, oh no, it's Penske, and a lot of back and forth with Penske, like, well, we want to see who was at fault for the accident. And I was like, my car was parked. I wasn't driving. This big truck backed into me. The other car was at fault, I was actually not even inside my car. I was at the storage unit. And then, then I saw my car get hit by this huge truck. And that's, like when I called the police and, reported the accident. And, so anyways, Plymouth Rock first gave me a hard time, then it was Penske, and then finally Penske agreed to cover the cost of the damages, and then I needed a rental because I kept saying, this car isn't safe to drive, And so I, so finally, like after like a couple of weeks, I went to the Enterprise in Malden, because the place that I got my car fixed was in Malden. It was pretty close to that Enterprise. And I was lucky. There was a guy there, that helped me. Because at first I went to Hertz, and they said it was a $200 deposit. And then Enterprise said it was a $100 deposit. But I was going through insurance, and the other person was at fault. And at that time, I was street homeless. I didn't have the money, And, when I was lucky that day that I went to Enterprise in person, I found somebody that helped me and said, I'll waive that cost. And he gave me the rental, And thank God, I got that rental from him. Thank God, because, I may not be here today if it wasn't for me getting a safe car to drive. It was, thankfully, when I was driving that car, even though it rained a lot, the wipers were working and I was able to see, And today I was reminded of that because it was raining and my wipers weren't working. So yes, eventually I have to fix my wipers in my car, but I don't have the money for it right now. Because my priority is to keep a roof over my head. And next week, when, I pay for, additional time at the hotel, which will be an additional 3 weeks, then all my money will be gone. And then I don't know what's going to happen after that. But I know what happened in the past. When I was gym hopping, when I slept in my car, when I slept at a laundromat, when I stayed at several different hotels, when I had, the Red Roof Inn give me the issues that they gave me, the Red Roof Inn in Woburn, they gave me problems and they called the police on me. And I was like, I just need to see if another day is going to be covered. And before I was able to do that, there was cops knocking on my door at the Red Roof Inn in Woburn. Thankfully, the cops, were nice to me and, I cooperated. But to have to go through something like that because the person that worked at the hotel was so racist, and that's why I definitely recorded that hotel room. Just like I definitely recorded my rental car when I returned it. I didn't want to have any issues with the racists whatsoever. And I prove that I didn't do certain things by recording them and putting them on social media. This video is going to end soon. So thank you guys for listening. I'll talk to you soon.